It's fair to say that cycling is going through a golden generation right now, but one particular talent wants to beat all of the rest. It can't be that hard, can it?
This is a statement, right?
Yes, your eyes don't deceive you, Mads Pedersen.
Utter domination.
Viva Isaac del Toro!
That racing line is almost absurd.
With Remco Evenepoel now cemented as one of the best riders in the current peloton, Belgium is looking for the next set of wonder kids. One of them is Jarno Widar of Lotto, and this is the other. Noah Peeters dominated the early part of 2024 in the junior category and was quickly signed to race with Intermarché Wanty in 2025, but a long-term injury has meant that he's not competed for 7 months. Have Wanty made the wrong call, and will Peeters live up to the hype from Belgian media? I guess we'll find out. Welcome to MyRider on the Tour de France 2025 game, and boy does it feel good to be back after just the one episode last year. I promise I'll be doing more this year, just hang on to the channel. This is going to be a pro cyclist mode with added storylines to make things a little bit more cinematic, a little bit more realistic. I promise this year I'll attempt to go for a series, so drop a subscribe on the channel to make sure that you do not miss an episode. In this series we'll be controlling Noah Peeters, and here is his contract. We plan to be on top form for the Tour de Suisse and the Deutschland Tour, with the plan of co-leadership in Germany if things go well. But let's focus on the first race for our new team, the Tour De La Provence. And here is the team with multiple options for stage wins, especially with Louis Barret and Biniam Girmay. Noah Peeters will be a domestique in this tour.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 3 Days of Provence, the race that marks the start of this new cycling season. With 3 hilly, even mountainous stages on the menu, the return to competition will be demanding on the riders. And we can expect a real battle between punchers for final victory.
So, a 6-rider breakaway is up the road, and we are controlling Biniam Girmay at the moment to try and take some intermediate sprint points for that green jersey. We're at the front of the peloton right now, and our lead-out man was supposed to protect us, but he's not doing so at the moment, and there he is. Peeters comes to the front just at the right time, so we get a little bit of a lead-out, and off we set to the intermediate sprint. We should be the best sprinter here, realistically. Casper Van Uden has been dropped, and it looks like we have absolutely blitzed the field there, so good signs for us ahead of the upcoming sprint at the second intermediate. Just over 40 kilometres to go then. The breakaway is now 3 riders at the front, and Peeters has done his job for the day. He's gone pop because he's been protecting Biniam Girmay throughout this stage. And he did a good job, to be fair, so he has done his job for the day. He will now pootle in and make sure he's within the time limit and go again next stage in a teammate role. So Biniam Girmay has to sprint on his own then, and he's not brilliantly positioned because Peeters is out of energy, but he's got to the wheel of Van Uden and he's going to go round the Dutchman, and it looks like we're going to take the second of the intermediate sprints from the peloton. Indeed so, 13 more points for Girmay. Approaching the top of the final climb of the day then, just over 1 kilometre until we get there. And it's not been incredibly selective. There's a group of 75. Bussato has just been dropped, who is our second teammate with Peeters. And we're going to try and take the points with Zimmermann over the top. Doesn't look like there's too much interest so far, so we're just going to slowly move to the front, sit on the wheel of Simon Guglielmi there, and see if we can take this sprint. Seemingly nobody going for it, but now the attacks come. Nielsen Paulus, actually, that's a GC favourite, so we've got to keep an eye on that. But can we get to the line? Yes, we can. 5 points for Georg Zimmermann, and that should mean the jersey. Here we are then coming into the finish, just over 3 kilometres to go, and it is a battle for position at the front between our Airbnb hotels and Intermarché Wanty, and it's been won by Kobe Hoosens, the lead-out man for Louis Barret, but he's being swamped a little bit here. Through the centre come Little Trek. Visma Lease-A-Bike are in position as well, and Barret is getting swamped, but here comes Kobe Hoosens through the centre. This is a big lead out from the Belgian, and the French rider is about to be let go, it seems. It's an early attack for Louis Barret on the steep portions of the final climb. Can he make the jump on the peloton and get to the line on his own? He has gone all out for this effort. He has spent his bickies, and EF are trying to reel him in. This is Harry Sweeney with Ben Healy on his wheel. He's leading out, but it looks like Barret gets to the line first. And the man from Nantes will take the first yellow jersey at this Tour de la Provence. There we are then, first stage for Noah Peeters, first stage at Intermarché Wanty of this season. And we win it, courtesy of Louis Barret's sprint. And he took a little bit of a time gap, a 3-second time gap in particular, over the line on the EF pairing of Sweeney and Healy. We also take the King of the Mountains jersey with Georg Zimmermann as well, thanks to his win on that final climb of the day. So, impeccable day for the team on our first ever stage in this series.
Huge congratulations for this win, guys. Our chances of victory were virtually nil. This is an outstanding performance. You beat all the favourites. We hit the ground running, and tomorrow we'll have the honour of defending the yellow jersey.
So alongside the stage win, Louis Barret leads the general classification and the white jersey, as well as the green jersey competition, ahead of his teammate Biniam Girmay. Can he hold all those jerseys on stage 2?
Hello and welcome to all. Today's stage promises to be a particularly arduous affair for the riders. With small mountain passes all along the route, fatigue should already be felt during the first passage through Gap. And it wouldn't be surprising to see the peloton blown apart on the grueling Col de Mans, the final ascent of the day.
It has been a hectic and crazy start to this stage. We had Biniam Girmay in the breakaway to start off with, but he's now competing for the intermediate sprint from the peloton. It was a massive group that went up the road, which was why I felt like we needed a rider up the road, and Biniam Girmay was our man to do it. It's now a group of 5, a group of 3 at the front and a group of 2 that are chasing, but we might catch them before the intermediate sprints. We're on the wheel of Caden Groves right now and looking in good position. Busato has guided us to the front, but Casper Van Uden has just been shot out of a cannon. Can we get to the Dutchman, or will we be competing for second place from the peloton? It looks like for second place, and on the bike throw we just about get there ahead of Caden Groves. So we're taking points from the other sprinters to try and keep Barret in that green jersey. Whoa, that's a crash. Miguel Biel's down. Who else was that on the ground? Looks like 2 riders. Let me just check who this other guy is. With Busato. Is he too far back? Oh, it's Bilbao. Approaching the second intermediate sprint of the day, then Peeters and Busato have kept the gap low because, as you can see, Gonzalo Serrano on 13 seconds in GC went up the road in a counter-attack with Michal Kwiatkowski. Michael Matthews is in a group off the front as well, and we're seeing lots of attacks taking place before this intermediate sprint. So we've got to make sure that we keep them within our sights. Just over 5 kilometres to go, and we're controlling Biniam Girmay to once again try and take points off the sprinters. We're not looking to put Girmay into the sprints jersey. We're kind of using him to make sure that nobody else gains on Louis Barret, because I think we can do a clean sweep of jerseys with the French rider at his home race, which would be pretty cool for the team. We're on to this final straight now. It's going to be a circuit, I think, to the finish line, and Georg Zimmermann is trying to get us as far forward as possible. We're not looking too great on energy with Beanie, but we should have enough to get us across the intermediate sprint. Doing well. Zimmermann giving us a lead out of dreams there, and we're going to thread the needle between Serrano and Kwiatkowski. Well done, Binny. And can we actually take it from the front? Yes, we do. Biniam Girmay wins the intermediate sprint ahead of Bizkarra and Schumil, who will be caught by the peloton now. Will another break go? The answer was quite a resounding no. It's been a furious tempo at the front of the peloton, set by Picnic Postinel and Little Trek, but Louis Barret is going to try and make his way to the front to take King of the Mountains points because Georg Zimmermann has just been dropped and is just out of energy, so would not have been able to take any points on this climb to try and strengthen his lead in the King of the Mountains classification. So we're going to sprint to the line with Barret, just make sure we are the first rider over, and it looks like nobody is going to contest it, which is great. Louis Barret takes 5 points for his King of the Mountains classification, and we've just got to make sure we don't crash there. That was pretty close, and we've got attacks now, so we've got to make sure we control this, because Barret is now on his own. Kobe Hossens has been dropped, and so has Georg Zimmermann, so Barret is going to have to freelance this himself in the yellow jersey. We're following Stjelmoser, although he is distancing us on this descent because we've not got too much energy left, and I don't want to use all of it to try and chase these guys down. So I'm hoping indeed Wout Poels is doing the chasing at this point, and everybody's attacking each other, and because of this, all of the attacks are being brought back, which is very useful for Louis Barret and his GC. We've just got to make sure that we hold on in the sprint. I mean, Wout van Aert's right next to us, so it's going to be very difficult to win the sprint, but we'll give it a good go, and I think we could podium the stage because Barret is deceptively quick, as proven by his performance in the last stage. 2 kilometers of the stage remaining, and Romain Bardet is sending it down this descent. He was with the group of Rodriguez and Schoens. He's now dropped them, but Guglielmi has brought this one back for Arkea B&B Hotels, and he has the inside line for this final left-hander. Very important left-hander, because once you're out of it, you approach the 1 kilometer to go red pennant, and Bardet is through it first, but he's got lots of angry riders on his wheel, one of which is Louis Barret, who storms to the front now. He's got a UAE Team Emirates rider next to him, but Barret launches the sprint. Felix Gall can't hold on. Van Aert nowhere to be seen, and Barret takes the second stage. It's 2 for 2 for the Frenchman. So another incredible result for the team, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows at Intermarché Wanty, because we've lost the King of the Mountains classification to Bizkarra on Euskaltel. So we're going to have to make sure we get that one back on the final stage.
We retain the yellow jersey. It's a perfect day.
Barret, with the stage win, moves himself further in command of the general classification. He wins ahead of Guglielmi and Schoens, with Bardet 4th. Van Aert only 5th, but as you can see, only 18 riders were within 15 seconds of us, so we've got fewer amount of riders to contest with now for the top of GC. And speaking of GC, here are the times. 17 seconds to Guglielmi, with Schoens a further 2 seconds behind, and then the rest of the pack down to 11th place man Felix Gall on 23 seconds. With these 2 stage wins, Barret has pretty much sealed the green jersey at this point. He's ahead of Biniam Girmay, who moves himself up to 2nd. So we're facing ourselves, really, in the battle for the green jersey. We've just got to make sure that Louis Barret stays on his bike on stage 3 to make sure that that green jersey is secure. So without further ado, here is the final stage.
Hello and welcome to all. This final stage of the 3 days of Provence follows a hilly and exhausting route. It could favour attacks that aim to turn the general classification on its head.
Breakaway formation has been fairly busy, to say the least. We've got a 17-rider group up the road, and there are some big names in it, notably Biniam Girmay in the green jersey, who we've managed to get up there. A couple of sprinters with him as well, who we've got to get rid of before this intermediate sprint, which is in 1.5 kilometres, including Casper Van Uden and Olav Koy. So we've got to make sure we're watching them, and there goes Koy right now. We're going to get into the wheel of the Dutchman, Van Uden, another Dutchman behind us, Scaroni getting involved as well. As we try to get past Koy, we've got the outside line for this corner, but Koy ties up, and Girmay takes the intermediate sprint to keep his green jersey aspirations alive and take points away from the other sprinters, which is good for Louis Barret as well. But it is a massive group up the road, and a couple of GC guys have slipped in there. Wout Poels, who's 5th, and Matthias Stjelmoser, you can see on the left in the white jersey, is also in this group. Luckily, because we've got a rider up there and some of the teams haven't that are towards the top of GC, EF and Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe are pacing. And because of their pace, the gap has gone down to just over 2 minutes, approaching the top of this first climb of the day. Kwiatkowski, Plapp, etc. are up the road, Jonathan Narvaez too. So it is an elite group of riders that are ahead of the peloton at the moment as we try to take some King of the Mountains points with Biniam Girmay just for a bit of fun more than anything. I don't think we're going to get Girmay into the King of the Mountains jersey in time, but it flattens out towards the line, so let's see what we can do, but we're boxed in between the two Astana riders and Scaroni takes the points. So we've got to keep an eye on the King of the Mountains just to make sure that Georg Zimmermann can stay in that jersey. Onto the next climb then, and we've got 1.5 kilometres until we crest it. Girmay still up the road, and all of our team are settled into the peloton, which is being led by EF and Bora, so it's not our problem to pace yet, but I don't want this break going too far, because of course Poels is on just over 30 seconds in GC. As Diaz tries to sprint for this King of the Mountains point, we're going to try and stay in this group, and if we've got enough energy, which is pretty light, see if we can take the points as we burst through the middle. Can we make it to the line? Yes, we can. Binny making a late grasp at Tour de France leadership, seemingly moving from his role as sprinter, as we've got early attacks this time with 2 kilometres until the top of the next climb. It is Poels setting an infernal pace on the front, and as the climbs have gone on, this breakaway has thinned and thinned and thinned. Casper Van Uden's done very well to stay in this group, but Binny has done so as well, and the gap is only a minute now, so they've done well to close this down in the peloton, and we've not expended any energy from our guys doing so. Peeters has been dropped, but that's fine really. He's not too much of a teammate that we really need, as Luke Plapp is on the front right now. We're not going to be able to contest this sprint, so I just want to stay in the group as Van Uden lets go of this breakaway, and Wout Poels has dropped himself. So that's good for our GC at least. Skjelmose still being in the group is not great, as Plapp sprints clear to take the points over the top of that climb. So we're still in control, I'd say. Back to your regularly scheduled Biniam Girmay programming, and the breakaway has been caught, but we've got to make sure that we're in prime position for the intermediate sprint as we take the rest of our gel, just to take points away from other riders. I'm sure we've got it sealed pretty much by now, but you can never be too certain. Maybe one of our riders crashes, Louis Barret or Girmay, and we've got to make sure that we take the points classification home. Biscara goes on the attack, so we're going to have to close that because he is not necessarily a danger, but he has some points in that classification, I know that. And Skjelmose is up the road with us once again, hopefully expending some energy. Ben Healy up here as well for some reason. As we sprint away, Skjelmose tries to hold the wheel. Hopefully we can get rid of him before the line, seemingly so. And we're just going to try and tempo this to the finish. Van Uden's trying to follow us, but seemingly not going for it, which is a bit weird. Oh, it does now, and on the bike throw we get there. So Girmay takes 20 more points. And now is where it starts to get dangerous. Just over 25 kilometres of the stage remaining, and we're going to come to the front with Georg Zimmermann to make sure that we get over this Category 3 in first and strengthen our lead in the polka dot jersey. Jai Hindley on the front at the moment, but with Biscara not getting any points, we take the 2 points and gain on the Euskaltel rider to try and take that polka dot jersey away from him. And now is the turn of Louis Barret, 12.5 kilometres to go, and as you can see, our energy is not looking too decent, and we've got attacks from the foot of this penultimate climb, and it's the whole peloton going. We've got Kobe Hosens with us as a teammate. Zimmermann has been dropped, so there are no more King of the Mountains points for him to collect, and it's all down to the GC now. We're in a group of 26 riders actually, up the road, soon to be 25 because Kobe Hosens has gone pop and has left the group. Berardi is up the road for Kern Farmer with 1 kilometre to go until the King of the Mountains. I'm going to try and take points at the top of this climb with Louis Barret as long as it doesn't take too much effort. I do have to watch for attacks like these with GC competitors. I see Skjelmoser's white jersey, so I feel compelled to chase this one down. Schoins was up there as well, and Guglielmi. So those are the guys we need to be watching, because those guys took bonus seconds in the last stage and are technically the closest to us on GC. So I'm just going to make sure that everybody is together over the top of the climb, and I'm not going to contest it. I want to make sure that I come away with the yellow jersey at the end of this Tour de la Provence, but this final climb and the energy that I've got remaining, which is practically none, don't go in my favour. I'm a little bit worried that we might lose the jersey today with Louis Barret. I'm hoping we keep it, but with 17 people remaining in this elite group up the road, all of which are better riders than Louis Barret, so I think it's going to be tough to keep the yellow jersey, but it would be huge for the team if we can. It has been an insane day in the saddle, but it's a stalemate at the moment between the GC contenders, and Tom Schoins is trying to force the gap open for Little Trek, working for his teammate Matthias Skjelmoser to try and take the jersey away from Louis Barret, who is sat right at the back of the group and is suffering. The Frenchman in the French race could win GC if he sticks with the rest of the competitors. Remember, 23 seconds to the rest of the group, but it looks as though the pace is increasing, and here's Louis Barret at the back of the group, and that could be it. Barret's letting go, and can he hold the gap? 23 seconds to the rest of the group, 19 seconds to Schoins, and 17 to Guglielmi, but they're pressing on at the front, and it's EF that are doing the chasing. We're on board with Dylan Teuns, but David Gaudu goes to the line and will take victory at the Tour de la Provence on virtue of bonus seconds, as long as Louis Barret can stay outside of the 23-second time and the time ticks over. Louis Barret cannot quite hold the jersey. So with Dylan Teuns finishing in second, that means that David Gaudu, by virtue of his 10 bonus seconds, will take the stage win and will also take the general classification away from Louis Barret. It was just one step too far for our GC leader, but he did take 2 stage wins on the way to getting that jersey. So we can be proud of our performance across the tour if we didn't get the final product. But we do get some secondary prizes along the way. Biniam Girmay, thanks to the points that he took at the intermediate sprints today, moves himself into the lead of the points classification. So technically, that's another classification that Louis Barret has conceded, but it stays with the team thanks to Biniam Girmay, and Georg Zimmermann gets back his polka dot jersey that he rented out for one stage and one stage only. So we do win the polka dot jersey at the end of this tour with Georg Zimmermann, but we don't hold the white jersey because that goes to Matthias Skjelmoser of Little Trek, who was in the breakaway. Immense ride from him, really, to take the white jersey. Not necessarily winning GC. We saw Tom Schoins pacing on the front. Maybe Little Trek were better to go with him, but Skjelmoser wins the white jersey at the Tour de la Provence.
We had no real ambitions for the classification of this stage. The least that can be said is you didn't prove me wrong.
So in the end, Louis Barret loses 1 minute and 2 seconds to David Gaudu, which is a massive amount of time, because when I flick over to the general classification, Barret is in 10th. It's 49 seconds down on David Gaudu. It was a plucky performance from the Frenchman, but in the end, not quite enough. So 2 stage wins and 2 jerseys for the team in this first episode, and make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, because I certainly enjoyed filming it, and it was a fun race to ride on this game. I am enjoying the game this year, which should mean that I will make a couple more videos on it at the very least. See you for episode 2 of this series. Who knows when it will come out? So that's why you've got to subscribe, I guess, with the post notifications on to make sure that you do not miss the next upload of this series, because we will be going to Rwanda. Stay safe, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.